Hello again. I'm Rick Anthony, and this is Someone You Should Know. It's the weekly music show that introduces you to the rising stars in the music world and also visits with old friends. This week, I have the honor of catching up with one of my wife and my favorite artists of the 1980s. He's superstar Richard Marx. Richard's got a brand new CD out called Days in Avalon, and we're lucky enough to have Richard as my guest this week on Someone You Should Know.
Everybody's talking, the word is going round, rumors are flying all over this town. How could a stranger know? Still a mystery to me. I don't know what to call it, I don't know what it is. I only know for certain I've never felt like this. Baby, it's the one thing I can believe. There's nothing I fear in this life, as long as I got you by my side. We're mighty as a hurricane, tougher than stone, stronger than anything I've ever known. One look at us together, anybody could see. There ain't nothing that can stand up to the power of you and me.
That's The Power of You and Me from the brand new CD titled Days in Avalon from Richard Marx. Richard, welcome to Someone You Should Know.
Thanks, Rick. How you doing?
Doing great. I'll tell you one thing. A lot of people are scratching their heads going, duh, we know who Richard Marx is. Well, I thought I did too. But lo and behold, I find out that you're touring and you're promoting a brand new project, which is called Days in Avalon. What number is this in your catalog, pal?
That's a good question. I think this is my 7th record.
Is that right? It's an awesome CD, folks. Got it in front of me. I've listened to it for the very first time today, and there's not a bad track on here.
Well, thanks, Rick. If the check's in the mail.
Hey, $5 is $5, right? How does this CD compare to your previous projects?
First thing that comes to mind is that it's completely owned and operated by me. It's my record company. It's every single decision from the album cover to the photos to the liner notes to the choice of singles. Everything is my decision, and that's it's scary, but at the same time, you know, it's very exhilarating because so many times recording artists' visions of what they want their projects to be get kind of shuffled around, you know, with a big record company, and I had that experience a lot of times, so that's kind of, you know, liberating on one hand, but separate and apart from that, it's the first time that I've made an album where I had 3 years in between records, and I looked around at what was happening on the radio and what was happening with popular music and realized that, for the most part, I don't really fit into what's happening in pop music right now, and so it kind of took a lot of pressure off. Rather than trying to figure out, well, what's a song that could be a hit single, I just wrote songs. I wrote songs that felt like they were what I wanted to say right now. I've been writing and producing for so many different artists in the last couple of years that I had pretty much geared my career into being a producer, and I wasn't really thinking about making a record. And then along the way, I found that I had written a handful of songs that were really personal, you know, that only made sense if I sang them. So that's how this album was kind of born. It was almost by accident.
The very first single from the CD is the title cut, Days in Avalon, and I understand it's one of your favorite songs that you've ever written. Is that true?
Yeah, it's just something, I mean, this was sort of the cornerstone of the record, and it was the song that prompted me to realize that I was making an album. You know, it wasn't just sort of a demo of something. It was kind of like, wow, you know, if I built an album around this song, then I think I'd really have something to say. And musically, I'm really proud of it, and I love what we did with it in terms of the sounds and my production. And it's right up there for me, in my mind, is one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Okay, folks, here's the first release from Days in Avalon from superstar Richard Marx.
I'm nearing the end or the beginning, whichever one finds me, and I'm counting the tears and the blessings that I leave behind me. I could not ask for more. You were the one thing worth living for. I will remember days in
title cut from Richard Marx's brand new CD called Days in Avalon. And you're listening to our interview with Richard Marx on Someone You Should Know. And as always, I'm Rick Anthony. Now, Richard, you've been incredibly busy writing and producing with everyone from Michael Bolton to Natalie Cole to 98 Degrees, and you even had a huge hit writing for NSYNC. Can you give us a rundown of who you've been involved with over the last couple of years?
You know what, Rick? It's been truly amazing, and I didn't realize how diverse a list of artists I'd been working with until my wife pointed it out. You know, my wife, about 3 or 4 months ago, she said, "You know, babe, have you noticed that the list of people that you've written and produced for in the last year is as, you know, varied and diverse?" And it does. It's everybody you just mentioned. I'm working with Michael Bolton right now, and we're finishing up 3 tracks for his record. Probably my favorite thing I've done in my whole producing career so far is the NSYNC record, This I Promise You. But I also got to work with Sarah Brightman, the opera singer, and Barbara Streisand last year, and a country group called She Daisy, and it's been such a blast because I don't know if you can understand this, but as a writer and producer of all these different people, I can get away with changing styles of music that I would never get away with as a singer. I can be as diverse as I want to be, and I really have nothing to worry about in terms of image or what people are going to think because it's not my face or my voice out there.
Outstanding. The new CD, Days in Avalon, I'm guessing is available everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You also got a cool website called richardmarx.com. Can you give our listeners kind of a rundown of what's at the website?
Yeah, you know, it's something that was the brainchild of a couple of fans of mine, and they run it, and I'm involved in that I give them information to post on the site and have provided them with pictures and stuff like that from different events. But it's really run completely by these couple of fans, Cindy and Janet, and my fan club president, a girl named Jerry Carr. And it's just such a pleasure because, you know, it's funny, you know, when you're a recording artist, you have to pay a publicist a lot of money to create a bio for you, and it's very costly, you know, put these promotional kits together. And we send them out to radio stations and television shows. When I'm doing television or press or whatever, you usually think that you're going to show up and they're going to be reading from your bio that you supplied them with. Everybody across the board goes to my website and they download information from my website because it's just so much cooler.
Guilty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so proud of this website, and I can say that because I have nothing to do with it. It's just run by 3 very generous and talented ladies, and so it's been a great source of information. It's a great way to find out where I'm at. In fact, sometimes if I'm wondering where I'm going to be on February 29th, I look on my website. So it's easier for me to find out where I'm
do that before you go on stage. Hi, welcome to St. Louis,
right.
Cincinnati.
Or my wife will say, "Honey, where are you going to be next Tuesday?" And I go, "Check my website."
Oh, wow. Next up from Days in Avalon is a song that's got a country flair to it. It's a brand new one called Straight From My Heart. Can you give us the rundown on this one?
I realize, sometimes songwriting is not deliberate. Sometimes it's very stream of consciousness, and sometimes you don't even realize what you're writing until you're writing it. And I had lost my father about 3.5 years ago and had never really dealt with it in song. And halfway through the lyrics, I realized that I was writing a song about missing my father. And right then and there, I thought, well, I can't send this out for somebody else to do. It's too personal, And so I, rather than change the tone of it and change it from a country song to a pop song, I just went with what it was. It is a country song. And it's funny because my father, who was a brilliant musician, the one kind of type of music that he never really got into much was country. So the irony is that he's up in heaven looking down going, "Dude, a country song? What's up with this?" But it just came about very naturally, and I went to Nashville and recorded it, and I was blessed to have Alison Krauss, who's one of the great singers in the world, come and sing harmony with me. And again, it's really one of those, if somebody said, pick a song that really represents what you're about as a songwriter right now, I'd certainly hand them this in a heartbeat.
All right, let's give our listeners a little sample of it. This is Straight From My Heart. It's a new single from Richard Marx' CD called Days in Avalon.
The sun's still warm and most days are good. The world still turns like you said it would. But this pain seems to never let me go. And there really is was only going along, and I will always be better for you loving me, better for the times we share, that travel with me everywhere. And I will always try to hold my head up to the sky, if only just to let you know that straight from my heart I still miss you so.
That was Straight From My Heart from Richard Marx, a real pretty song from his new CD called Days in Avalon. How's the tour going?
The tour's been fun. You know, I mean, I haven't played live in a long time, and I've been doing shows for various radio stations that have predominantly been funds donated to local charities. So it kind of makes me feel better about going out and promoting my record, knowing that if I'm going to be away from my family, at least I'm raising money for a good cause, and other than just promoting my record. So
Here's something I'd like to share with your fans, Richard. I caught you in St. Louis, Missouri just before Christmas. Can you remember that show?
yeah,
The day before, there was a horrible snowstorm up in Chicago, which I think you were trapped in, right?
yeah.
But instead of canceling the date, you made it to St. Louis with your keyboardist and your guitarist, and you still put on a great show.
Yeah, we had, actually, that happened to us twice. The band couldn't get there. I mean, it was just, you know, the Midwest was just pounded with snowstorms this winter, and that's part of the deal when you live in Chicago. And I was, you know, I couldn't get my band to a couple of the gigs we did, but luckily, two of the guys that were coming from Nashville made it. So we just did it. And there was one show, actually, where none of the band got to come, and I just, even though I wasn't supposed to play solo acoustic, I did anyway, and it still worked out. You know, the audience just, I think the audience appreciates the effort more than they do anything else.
I want this to be an example to all you aspiring artists that how a true professional handles and overcomes some hurdles. It's good job there, Richard.
Thanks, man.
Richard, we're going to wrap up this edition of Someone You Should Know with a song that's kind of appropriate because I think I could talk to you for another half hour. The tune is called Too Early to Be Over. It's a tune that you penned with your buddy Fee Wayville of the Tubes. I want to thank you very much for appearing this week on Someone You Should Know.
My pleasure, Rick. Thanks.
And once again, I thank you, the listeners, for checking out Someone You Should Know week after week and making it part of your weekly routine. Until we meet again next time, this is Rick Anthony.
Another day, another life slips away, floats above the crowd. You can only stay ahead of time when time cooperates instead of heading south. Cards are dealt, you play what you hold. You can't tell me the story's been told. It's too early to be over. This way past when you could be starting again. It's too early to be over. Good-hearted Joe is the last one to know. Run down, run around, biting my tongue, hardly my sad tale. But the rolling in and stepping out, nothing but fun. I finally had to bail. Nothing worse than trying too hard. This ain't this fool.